welcome to your second Hatha yoga session, and I hope that you've been following along in the manual and also doing the building practice of the Kumbhaka breath or the pranayama practice. And in that third session, you will be getting the completion of that, and then you can use that as a full practice. I like to do it before my Hatha yoga practice, my asana movements. You may prefer it after, but I like to do it before. So today we're going to start with a block, and you'll always need whatever it is. Remember in the first session how we did the squat, whatever it is that you need to help you with a squat. And then you're also going to need a bolster for at the end. We're going to do a little relaxing session. So to start, we're going to do a yin posture. And in this yin posture, you'll be sitting here with your elbows under your shoulders. Now my neck sometimes gets a little tired and strained, so I use the block to rest my forehead on, but you may be able to just stay here. So whichever works for you, we will start here. And we're just focusing on releasing, especially if you feel tension in that lower back, just kind of expansiveness through the lower back. Bringing in that nice elongated breath here. Allowing the shoulder blades to relax away from the ears. For some of you, you may have kind of maxed out your stretch here. For others of you, this will be a good stretch just to stay in. For those of you who want a little bit deeper stretch, you can bring your palms to the ground and create what's known as seal pose in yin yoga. We'll do a whole yin session closer to the end of these Hatha yoga sessions. Now at any point this is really not feeling good on your lower back, you feel pinching, pain of any kind, always come back down onto the elbows. We'll take about 3 more breaths here. Great, and then we're going to take it back into an elevated child's pose. So the knees are going to go under the hips, and then you're going to reach forward like child's pose. Just keep the knees and the hips aligned, and take some long deep breaths here. And then just feeling that space up here in the lower back, letting that stretch out now. So we did a lower back stretch, now we're doing kind of an upper back stretch. So some warm-ups are slow, some are a little bit faster. This is a slow one today. And then we're just going to do a few down dogs to planks. So coming here into down dog. On an exhale, inhale, we come forward into a plank. Exhale, we go back into down dog. We'll do that 2 more times. And then staying back in downward dog. You could do a little pedaling of the feet or swaying of the hips if you need to. And then we're going to step that right foot forward and come into Virabhadrasana 2. Excuse me. And then from Virabhadrasana 2, finding our way over into triangle pose. And then we're going to use our blocks to help us get up into Ardha Chandrasana. So the block comes around the outer edge of the foot here, right under the shoulder, press up through that back foot. And then the goal is to release yourself as gracefully as possible back into Warrior 2. And then take a reverse. Watching that front knee, it might want to kind of fall in. Try and keep it so the middle of the knee aligns with that second and third toe space. Good. Exhale the hands to the ground. Now, as I mentioned, when you come here in a down dog, you can go ahead and do a flow where you flow through, or you can rest in child's pose, or you can stay in down dog. So whichever one works for you. We'll break down the vinyasa thing in a couple sessions. But if it's your thing you do already, go for it. And then from there, we're going to bring that left foot forward. And we're going to come up into Virabhadrasana 2. Whoops. On the other side. And then from there into triangle. Trikonasana. The key thing here is that back side of the body tries to get everything into one plane. We're not concerned about getting here, because we would have to bend the knee most likely, or we would bring our upper body forward. So we're just working towards keeping that body all in one plane, because then the stretch comes here, which is really usually the place that it's needed. And then we're going to take that block in front of the foot now to the left of the foot, and rise up. And then with as much grace as possible, back to Virabhadrasana 2. And then reverse. And then gently release. And then grab whatever you need. And we're going to find our way into a squat. So remember that you want to put something under your heels. If your heels don't touch the ground, you want to put something under them so that your heels are in contact with something as you come into the squat. So every day the practice will build bit by bit. I should say every session. So if you're feeling like this is really easy for you, that's great. Then take the time to do the questioning of self as if it's brand new. So if you may remember in the last session, I invited you to consider as you do the practice, what does a new awareness feel like for me in my body when I do triangle pose, when I do warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2. So you can, if these are familiar, easy, bring that question to the practice. All right, then we're going to come to seated, and we're just going to do a simple navasana. So you can use what you were using for the squat, and or you can use a blanket, which we'll need in a minute to do the shoulder stand. I forgot to tell you to have that. Sorry about that. So pause if you need to run and get one. I do this just to protect my tailbone in this posture. And then we're just going to come here. 90-degree angle, 90-degree angle, 90-degree angle. So we really want to avoid this. We're lifting up here through the sternum. So for some with the heel on the ground, you'll feel that core activation. You're good to go. For some, maybe here. So find the one that's right for you. And let it go. Beautiful. So we're going to work on shoulder stand. Now there's a couple different ways. I'm going to share different ways throughout these sessions. But if you're not used to doing shoulder stand, there's two things to be aware of. You want to make sure that the vertebrae of your neck are not in contact with the floor. They're not pressing hard against the floor. So that's why I have this blanket. What I do when I roll back is that the top of my shoulders will be in line with the top of the blanket, so my neck lays freely over the space. Now, if you have a hard time getting up, putting a block between your thighs, to create core engagement. So if you sit for a moment in the posture we were just in, you put a block between your thighs and you squeeze it, you can kind of feel how that helps activate the core. So you could use it in your rolling up here. So you roll up and then you squeeze through the thighs to help yourself come up, okay? If that's not an option for you, just keep that between your thighs and just practice rolling, taking your feet over your head, okay? So either one. And we're just going to get up into that shoulder stand. Sorry about the throat. Lots of clearing my throat today. Something's sitting in there. Okay, so just find the one that's right for you. You might notice that over time, or depending on the time of day you do it, that you'll be able to get more of a straight line up from the hip to the heels. You always want to kind of work towards that. It doesn't really matter in space where it is, back to forth. Excuse me. I'm going to take a little drink here before I keep coughing into your face all the time. Okay. And then very slowly find your way to roll out of that posture. And then just come to seated for just a minute. Let all that blood drain back down. And then we're just going to let our ear gently drop towards our shoulder. And inhale up, switch sides. Just let the weight of the head create the stretch. And inhale back up. Let's drop it over to the other side again. This time imagine the line from your chin to your shoulder and take your chin about a third of the way there. If that's a really good stretch, stay there. But if you can feel like you can go more, go about 2/3 of the way. And if you want to go the whole way, do that. And then inhale up the chin, come back to center, switching sides. Again, imagining that line from chin to shoulder, 1/3. And then 1/3 again. And then all the way. And then coming all the way back up and centering here. Drawing the hands behind, opening up the chest. So for some of you, this will be a really nice back bend just to stay right here. If you want to go further, you can lift the pelvis up, drop the head back. When you come to seated, the head is the last thing to come in alignment with the spine. Then we're going to take both legs over to one side. So they're just sitting right next to the hip. They're not on, you're not sitting on the heel. And then on an exhale, you're just going to twist and look away from the feet. Always in an exhale. Inhale brings you out of it, switching sides. On the way over to the other side, you could give your knees a little hug. And then switch. Exhale, twisting away from the feet. back to center. This time bring the bottoms of the feet together. And we're just going to take a gentle forward fold. So as you remember, I always suggest that you try to sit on something so the knees are aligned with the hips. As you can see, mine aren't. So I need to elevate a little bit more. It just makes the fold better. So now my knees are almost aligned with my hips. I take my feet a little bit further away than just a regular Baddha Konasana and take a fold through here, reaching out through the top of the head. Good, now coming all the way up, and then we're going to do our Shavasana. So for your Shavasana, you're going to use a bolster. I'm going to bring your back just up against that bolster. Keep your knees bent to start. And take your arms out to the side, so you're just opening up, stretching the spine. And then if it feels okay, on your back, just press one heel along the ground, straightening out one leg and then the other. Allow the toes to drop away. Beginning to make little movements through the fingers and toes. Eventually allow the movements to roll you onto one side of the body. Pausing on the side of the body to reflect on what is new. What did you learn about or from your body in this practice? And then staying inward, you could come up to seated, and I wanted to read to you, so this week, this session, you've been focused on bhakti as one of the margas. And I wanted to read to you from David Frawley, who's a fairly well-known mantra yoga teacher. He says, the Yoga Sutras and its tradition of Raja Yoga emphasizes the role of pranava, which literally refers to primal sound, and specifically to the mantra Om, as the main means of connecting with the divine or cosmic Ishvara, the primordial guru of gurus in the yoga tradition. Just like the Upanishads, the Yoga Sutras stresses the importance of chanting and meditating upon Om, which is the essence of all the mantras. This means that mantra is the guiding power of yoga, not just one of its many practices. And that's from Mantra Yoga and Primal Sound by David Frawley, Dr. David Frawley. So joining your hands together in front of your chest. I'll see you in the next session.